All right, everybody, welcome to the Let's Stay Together talk show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain. It is Tuesday evening, 7 p.m., and we are glad you're here with us. Got a great show coming on today. Isn't that right, baby?
Yes, we do. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Ladies, I put it out that we need you tonight because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and I want to give Bernadette Anderson a quick apology because we're an hour difference. She was already out there. That's what I love about God's people. They were ready, and so she's gonna, come back at the 7:30 Chicago time, and she's in Ohio, so there's an hour ahead of us. So we appreciate her understanding that. Apologize. I made sure that I put in there for everybody else that is 7:30 Central. But we do got a great show that's going to be coming up. Wonderful, weather we having here in Chicago. Things are going great. I don't really have anything to complain about. I mean, I can say something, but I ain't going to complain about things. But it's just been, another day of blessings, and thankful that the Lord has allowed me to live another day.
I agree. I mean, I'm just happy that the weather is doing something. We still got a little rain here and there, but the temperatures feel really good.
This is the only time I would say rain, don't go away, because I'd rather have that than the snow. I know we Christians are getting ready. I mean, everybody's getting ready soon for Valentine's Day. You're getting ready for Super Bowl. 2 more days. Black History is coming. Black History Month. The month where they give us 28 days.
We got 29 this year.
Oh, it's leap year. Okay, so we get an extra day, extra credit work. The month where they decided they're going to make sure they give us the least amount of days to celebrate our history. But Black History, to me, is celebrated 365. We always got something to celebrate. So we're going to have some great people coming in on Black History talking. We're going to have some Black Panthers that are going to be coming talking to us. Gonna have some kids that are coming on the show. Sheldon Smith will be talking as well. We're gonna be talking about. I did say last week that we're gonna be talking about blacks and the news media. That's actually gonna come in March. What we're gonna be talking about in our panel for this coming February is gonna be with minorities and the grant process. If you haven't heard that they've removed the qualifications of discrimination against minorities in colleges, so they have a quota. And I'm saying this wrong, I know. I can't think of the word right now, but basically there was a and all schools had to have a certain amount of blacks and minorities accepted into the school for affirmative action. And now that is being removed, how is that going to affect college students, minorities, African Americans? How is that going to affect you when you do your application? Because now certain schools in certain states don't have to make sure they have a percentage of African Americans and minorities in the school system. And so how would that affect you getting to colleges like Yale and Harvard? Hartford is the insurance company. Harvard and Princeton. How would that affect you getting into those colleges, knowing now that they don't have to have an affirmative action program where they have to have a certain amount of minorities into the school? Because I don't care what you say, there's a racism or a racist way of things that happen in some of these colleges where they're going to not concern themselves. If they don't have to meet that quota, they won't care about that.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah, so we got a lot of things we're going to be talking about for Black History Month. And so I'm looking forward to that. Baby, you got any praise reports, anything that you want to share before we go on?
I'm just grateful to be alive and well, and that's it.
All right, so what we got today on Christian Real?
Christian Real, we are talking about seeing the light while I'm walking through my season of waiting.
So we've been talking about the season of waiting for the whole entire month of January. Basically, the season of waiting is the time where people would go through prosperity and they just love the joy and the money coming to me now and God is going to bless me. But when we go through the period of waiting, it can be very difficult for us because we feel in some cases that that waiting process is not really helpful. But it is one of the most powerful times spiritually to gain wisdom, knowledge, and understanding about how God is going to direct your path. I mentioned to you that one of the scariest times for Satan is when you're through your season of waiting, because he's concerned about how you're going to come out. He is concerned about your outcome and what you're going to receive from the Lord. If you're diligently to listen to the Lord in prayer and your season of waiting, God will direct your path and show you exactly what that season of waiting is for. It is a blessing. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but when you can sit under the hands of God, under the word of God, and allow him to direct you through that season, and even though there's a period of darkness, there's a period where you feel that things are not going on well in your life. Let me tell you something. January, the first 3 weeks of January was kicking my butt. I'm telling you, I don't think, I think maybe 2 days in January was kicking my behind. But at that period, I learned a lot of things. God helped me through a lot of things. And it allowed me to just sit under him and just say, I'm going to receive the blessing. Even though it seems like I'm walking in darkness, there is a light that God is trying to show me through that period. Baby, I'm going to let you guys say something before I go.
During that time, like you said, been going through a lot of stuff, but it's so easy for Satan to sway you. But you gotta stay focused on the word and stay focused on God, for you could hear his voice, because Satan will slip his voice in there during your season of waiting. And in the season of waiting, Saul, S-O-W, it's just, he always find a way. Like you said, the closer you get to God, he's waiting, like just mess up one time, let it come out of your mouth for he could just attack. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. That's how Satan works. He's just waiting and waiting, like you said, to see what direction you're going to go in. Is she going to stay faithful? Is she going to fall? Is she going to get up and say, okay, I messed up, Lord, I'm coming back. Satan just ready to put his hand on you and take God's hands off of you.
Yeah, and the thing, we have to understand three things. That during our season of waiting, we have to be able, and this is saying, seeing the light within the darkness. You have to be able to see the light of God, the wisdom of God, the power of God, the mercy of God, the grace of God, as you're going through the process of learning about God's will for your life. And Hebrews says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Three things when we're going through that, the light. And I'll say this, seeing the light within the darkness. You have to have faith. Having faith, having the word, and trusting in God. You have to have faith. That's what it says. Now faith is the confidence. Now faith is the confidence and the hope and the insurance of what is not seen. That's what the New International Bible says. Faith is something that we have in God. Though we're in a period of darkness as we walk, we still know that God is the light of the world. God is over everything. Now we have to have faith that what we're going through, God is pruning us, preparing us, moving us in a direction that he wants us to go. Hear this. God is never going to have you in a waiting period without giving you a way to move forward. It's not going to be any backwards. You're not going to be moving backwards. It's going to feel like it. This is Christian real. It's going to feel like you're moving backwards. I mean, heck, first couple of days, the camera broke. Having problems with the car, this, that. I mean, it's like everything was going wrong. So it feels like sometimes you're going in a backward movement. But all God is doing is pruning you, preparing you. You know, I love this, God. There are some things that God needs to remove from you to move you. I like that. Thank you, God. There are some things that God has to move from you, baby, to move you. You got something for me?
No, I'm just marinating on that statement.
Because if he doesn't move something from you, you get attached to what you think is moving you forward, and it's only moving you further away from the movement of God.
Now I have something to say.
Okay.
That made me think about my banking days, how I was getting promotion after promotion, and I was giving the credit to the people that was promoting me, and I wasn't giving it to God. And when you say he got to move you, he moved me right on out of there when I wasn't ready. But he's always told me I got something so much bigger and better for you. You might not see it, but you got to trust in me, which I did. But that statement right there, it was so clear, because it's like, why are you giving all the accolades to your boss and other people, not thanking God? You of all people, not thanking God for it. But hey, he will move you, especially when you putting people higher than him. He will remove you from that situation, and he did just that. So that just made me think about that. Like, wow, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, and it's so powerful, because there are certain things that we look as a help, but spiritually is nothing but a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
And that we sometimes, during our season of waiting, we've got to have faith in God. Now, faith for the substance of things hoped for and the evidence not seen. You are requesting something, but you cannot see the direction that God is taking you through, because it doesn't seem like it's benefiting you how you can see it. Right. The Bible tells us that God can do exceedingly abundantly more than we can actually think. So God is saying, if you see what I see, then you wouldn't look to see what you want to see. You'll just follow what I see, what I have for you. But the problem is that we see what we want, and God sees what he has for us.
And when we see it, we provoke questions and doubt constantly, and that's how Satan can easily slip in, because once he know you doubting God, it's like, let me give you another scenario, Brenda, and that scenario might look good, it might be presented well, but when you fall into that trap in your season of waiting, you just prolonging your blessings.
And the next thing is having the word. This is what Psalms 119 and 105 says. The word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my pathway, or to my path. You have to have the word of God. When you are in your season of waiting, remember I said that is a pivotal point, because Satan is concerned about your outcome. He is concerned about how you're going to come out, because he knows what the Lord is going to do with you if you are steadfast and believing and trusting in God. Though you slay me, yet will I trust you. You have that kind of mentality. He's worried about that. So as long as you have the word, no matter what you're going through, God is going to make sure that it's not more than you can bear. And you have to look at that word as being a lamp unto your feet, something that is directing you in the right direction, that you can call upon the name of the Lord and use scriptures and walk with God. No matter what is going on in your life, you look at God and say, I trust you, Lord, because you said you will never leave me or forsake me. And so I'm going to walk through this darkness, because I know that you are the light of the world, and that wherever you're taking me to, it's taking me to a period out of darkness, not into darkness.
Amen.
Because there's some things that we think that are taking us out of darkness that are actually keeping us into our darkness. Things that we get attached to and allow them to control us. And
like
we have
money in that job.
Yeah. and all kinds of things. But we have to be able to walk in the word. And the last thing I'm going to say here is that trusting in the Lord, trust in the Lord in all thy heart, lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge God, and he will direct thy path. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trusting in God is the pivotal movement. It's the thrust that moves you further and faster out of your darkness. Because if you have doubt, Satan will cause you to linger in a position that God has said he wanted you to move from. But he gives us free will. So he's not going to force you to follow. Satan will make you feel like what you're doing is wrong. He went up to Jesus. Hey, cast yourself upon the stones. You're going to be protected. If he does that to Jesus, what makes you think he's going to do it to you? So when we are in our darkness and we allow doubt to stop us from trust, then that's when Satan can destroy or remove or hinder the outcome. What God has for us, who can be against us? We have to understand that trust, and can we be honest with each other? There are periods in all of our lives where we've doubted. Ain't no great Christian saint here, powerful, holy man of God. We've all went through a period of doubt, but it's how we stand in it. Do we stay there or do we move forward? I believe, but help thine unbelief. There are times where you're going to have a period of unbelief. You're going to go through so much trials and tribulation that you're going to even feel that God is not even in your season of waiting. But you got to trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding, because what we understand is like a grain of sand to what God's knowledge is. And so if we just say, that's why I say, I was going to talk about the last time, being stupid. And I'm not going to want anybody to feel it, like I'm saying something negative. But when it comes to the knowledge of God, we are stupid in comparison to his wisdom. And that the only thing we need to do is hold on to that wisdom and say, as I walk through the valleys of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. We have to go through the darkness, knowing that it's light. I'll give you an example and I'm going to stop. You ever driven in the nighttime into the light? Mm-hmm. And, you could see it and, slowly but surely it gets lighter and lighter. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden it's just light. Mm-hmm. But in that period of darkness, it was just dark. It just got dark. And you're just thinking, am I ever going to get out of this? Right. Is my life ever going to change? The car keeps moving, right? It doesn't just sit there. Now, it could sit there and the light will eventually change. Mm-hmm. But the car keeps moving to the light. It doesn't sit there. So if you're coming from Chicago to Ohio, it's going to get lighter in Ohio before Chicago, because the car keeps moving in the direction of the light. But the sun is coming over the moon and it's radiating on the earth because he's moving in that direction. We've got to keep on moving in the direction where the light of God is, mm-hmm. and not be concerned about being stagnant. Like, I'm so tired, girl. I don't want to do anything anymore. Man, I just don't even feel like God is there. I'm not going to do nothing. That is what Satan wants, because he's afraid of your outcome. If you don't hear anything else that I say out of this season of waiting, Satan is concerned about your outcome. Because if you make it through, you might help somebody else make it through. But you have to see the light within your darkness. And the three things you need to have: faith, the word, and trust in God. What you got for me, babe?
Those three things so easily said, and I know with people because we all humans. It's like I got this, but when you going through that, I mean, let's couple this off with you lost a job, you lost a loved one, finances not right. It's like God, you see this down here, you see what I'm going through. I need help. Only thing God telling you is just have faith. It's already worked out. Like you said, we don't see it, but God sees it. And when he see it, you got to have that faith to trust him for you could walk in the valleys with him. Because if you don't, you're going to get ate up. And that's the biggest time. And don't put it around the holiday. The biggest time there's so many suicides happen because you don't think anybody's backing you. You can't see what the spirit is telling you. You can't feel it. Just like only thing you know is this bill need to be paid. When is something going to happen? But I do know God never fails, and he will never forsake you, whatever you're going through. And it's so true. If you could just put your faith in him and trust him, if you're a church goer, continue to tithe during that time. If you have it to tithe, continue to do that, and he will make a way out of no way, because he have done it so many times for me and myself and my family, that if you just have to have faith that it will happen.
Yeah, and so I know we're going to play some music here in a few minutes, but I want to say this. Here's a scripture that we hear all the time. I'm going to read some of it, then I'm going to leave a part of it out. It says, sharper than a two-edged sword, it penetrates even to dividing the soul and the spirit, joints and marrow, and judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. The beginning of this starts with this, and this is Hebrews 4 and 12. The word of the Lord is alive and active. Are you hearing that? So when I say you need to have the word of the Lord is alive and active. It means it's moving. It's like a breathing portion of our spirit that is constantly there, moving and active and ready to do the will of the Lord. All you got to do is speak it and proclaim it and have faith and trust, and it'll be activated, and it's going to be alive. It's not dead. It's not just on a piece of paper and then you're reading it and that's all that it provides. It's alive, and it has the ability to activate based on your faith. And that's how you see the light in your darkness. You take that active and alive word and you have faith in it and you trust in the Lord. Hey, we're going to play some music here and then we can come back with our special guest today. It's going to be talking about 8 signs of depression in black women. So black women, if you're out there, you want to hear from this sister. So it's a doctor that we have here that's going to be talking about some things. It's going to be a powerful thing. So get ready for that. So listen up to this music and we'll be right back on the Let's Stay Together talk show. All right, great subject. Baby, what's some of the things you got here? For those of you on Facebook and YouTube, thank you for being a part of this. Make sure you contact somebody and tell them, hey, we got a great topic coming up. 8 signs of depression in black women. And one of them should not be married to a black man. Just make sure that's not one of them. But go ahead.
One of the stories tonight, the title is Rat Poop, Bug Bites, Bug Bits, Mice Hair. How many unavoidable defects are in peanut butter and other foods you eat? This just messed me up reading this because it's so much stuff that's out there that we can't control in our food. And it's some of our favorite foods that contain pieces of creatures that you probably didn't even know was there, such as mice dung in your coffee. For all those coffee lovers, you get mice poop in it, and it could be allowed in it. That's what get me. Maggots in your pizza sauce, bug fragments and rat hair in your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That just messed me up. And for the chocolate lovers out there, you have incest, 30 or more insect parts and a sprinkling of rodent hair, and it is totally free, non-hazardous that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration allowed that to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out there's a certain kind of coffee that comes out of the dungs of elephant, and it's supposed to be some of the most premium coffee that you can get. The funny thing about it, I gave this story to Brendan, and as I was looking it up, I had some peanut butter on a spoon that I was eating because I was trying to finish up my last of my peanut butter, and I saw that, and I'm like, okay, let me just take this off the peanut butter and throw it away because I'm looking like rat dung. I mean, what? I mean, and now I knew that with peanut butter, they were saying certain insects, the particles of insects are in, can be in the peanut butter, and that, you know, at some point, I think some of these things what they be bringing up is, I don't. Are you trying to scare me? Because if it's something that the USDA has approved, why are we really talking about this?
Yeah, they just want you to know what you like.
Right,
The fruit. We all see it. You get fruit flies this around certain fruits.
Yeah.
Some of these things, as they say, hit your rad from the dirt, the ground, the produce section of what they go through before we go to the grocery store. It still be there. And to be honest, a couple of days when because I'm on my apple and peanut butter kick, I was slicing my apple and I said, I'm always washing my cutting board. Why is always a little bug on it? Came right out the apple, and that just blew me away. I'm like, okay, you're trying to eat right, but bugs are coming out of certain things.
Well, did you realize that the bug is probably mad at you because you stole his food?
Probably.
What you doing, girl?
I'm like,
It's my food.
Oh,
I mean,
can't
it's
stand it.
you think about those certain things that can make you not want to eat food, but I mean, historically, there's always been any food that's coming from the ground or anything like that. You're going to have some kind of a insect bug situation like that where hopefully that it's been filtered out enough that there's a percentage of it that doesn't really do any harm, and
Right,
and
they
that's
say
been
it's harmless to your
you know.
body, but the fact you guys could have kept that FDA.
But I mean,
You really could have.
you could a lot of times they say something that's harmless to your body, then all of a sudden they change it. Like but it's it's just a part of the course here. I don't know if we got time for another story because we've got about 7:28. Kenny, how long we got right now? I'm waiting for Mr. Crawford to let me know how much time we have left. I wanted to tell you all one thing for sure. Make sure you watch the JD Morning Show or listen to the JD Morning Show on SOAR Radio between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. only on SOAR Radio. And also, if you're looking to do a radio show yourself, you can contact SOAR at soarradio.com to get some more information about doing your own radio show. You got about 4 minutes. Can you possibly cut that down if there's some commercials? Because I want to make sure we're back by 7:30 because this young lady is already waiting for us. Thank you, sir. Love this man, Kenny Crawford, who is our producer, who has made this show 100 times better. We just got to make sure we get everything on electronically so we don't have, things of that nature. But we're not going to be able to do another thing there. Are you going to be reading something?
Oh, did she come on?
Oh, okay. So we're we got this guest coming on. This is going to be a great topic. So make sure you contact some people on that. And SOAR Radio, SOAR Worlds is coming up on March. So get ready for that. We'll talk about that again soon. We're about to get back on the air for you on Facebook and YouTube. Hey, tell some people we're out there. Share some information. Soon as I'll be sharing some of these topics that we have separately to Facebook and YouTube, so you can see the dynamic people we've had on this radio show. We've had, talking about male situations. We had a My Body, My Choice, explosive, awesome conversation we had there. And then now we're going to have 8 signs of depression for Black women. So get ready for that. I mean, it's going to be amazing. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Let's Stay Together talk show. SOAR Radio listeners, We appreciate you hanging in with us. We've got a great guest coming up soon in a few seconds. As we're waiting for her, I want to tell everybody to make sure you watch the JD Morning Show each Wednesday, I should say, between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. You'll have Justin, Kenny, and certain guests will be on there with him. I'll be talking about some great subjects, so make sure you're ready for that. And if you want to do your own radio show on Soar Radio, you can contact them at soarradio.com. Hey, we've got our guests here. I'm going to let my wife introduce her, but I'm going to say thank you, dear, for being patient, because she was on the show an hour early, and I didn't let her know. And I love it because she waited. That was a blessing. Where in the heck are these people at? They told me 7:30. So she didn't do that to us. So thank you, honey, for doing that. I'm going to let my baby introduce you, and we're going to get on the show.
Right now,
All right.
we have the lovely special lady that was waiting on us, Dr. Bernadette Anderson, on the show. She is the creator of Life in Harmony, an innovative, intentional, and action-oriented approach to well-being. She has devoted much of her time to developing, teaching, and educating people on the principles of health and lifestyle medicine. Currently, Dr. Bernadette is a family medicine physician and a co-owner of Faith Family Health. Welcome to the Let's Stay Together show, darling. Welcome. And our topic for tonight is 8 signs of depression in Black women. This is going to be really good. So if you out there, tune in. Look on Facebook, because this beautiful lady is going to teach us something. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I looked up in LinkedIn. I mean, I thank the Lord. He always brings me together with such amazing people. Like we were talking last week of My Body, My Choice. We had an awesome guest on there talking about that amazing information. And now we have you. And I read a little bit about the 8 signs of depression for Black women, and it just kind of blew me away. And so I wanted you to share with our guests about that and what is the importance and why Black women compared to anyone else. I mean, I know everybody else has it, but what is the significance of these 8 signs for Black women?
Well, the thing is, sometimes in Black women in particular, we don't see depression, because it doesn't look like it looks in everyone else. Now, before we talk about Black women specifically, I also want people to understand that there are some signs that you need to look for in anyone. And if we don't know what to look for, that's when depression goes undiagnosed. So anytime you're having, when you're not having symptoms that are causing you to think, to act, and to just feel differently, you need to kind of say what's going on and check in with yourself. And some of the things that you should look for is if you're sleeping too much, if your interest has changed, if you're feeling guilty about things or your energy is low. The other things that you might look for is if you're having confusion or change in your appetite or just feeling sort of dragged down and or if you're having suicidal thoughts. Now these are signs that you should just look for in anyone.
Yeah.
And I want to start with that because sometimes when I have patients come into the office that look like me, they don't even understand what it means to be depressed. So when I ask the question, are you depressed, they often will say, I don't know. But then when we talk about Black women in particular, we can miss some things that we can just blow off as being, oh, they just need to get some rest, or maybe they're just tired. And that could be it, because sometimes it's extreme exhaustion, feeling overwhelmed because we're just trying to just carry so much. That can also be a sign of depression when it comes to Black women. And then the title that we sometimes get, this angry Black woman.
Yeah.
That angry Black woman could be a sign of depression because of just the things that she's going through, the many challenges that are on her plate. So we don't want to dismiss that anger and just write it off, but to ask questions. Why is she exhibiting these signs? And then sometimes as Black women, it's easy for us to come in and talk about our physical symptoms. I'm having a headache, I'm having back pain, or I'm having belly pain, because it's easier to address that than to address our mental health. So when you see your sisters, always talking about something that's bothering them or hurting them physically, you might want to ask more questions and make sure that it's not signs of something from a mental perspective. And then the other thing with Black women, we always have this burden of being this superwoman.
Yeah.
We got to be everything to everybody and care for everybody and put ourselves last. But, I encourage people to, put away the cape and take the S off your chest, because we don't have to be, these energizing bunnies that go on and on and on and on forever. The other thing you want to look for is like these coping behaviors, overspending, overeating, things like substance abuse. That could be a sign of depression, as well. And then you also, I mentioned this earlier about sleep disturbances. Person sleeping too much or too little. You want to ask questions. If it's a change from their normal behavior. And then one of the things that we often overlook is this spiritual disconnection. In
Yeah.
our community, our faith is so important to us. But
Yes.
when you see us pulling back from that, you want to ask questions. What is this? Why is this occurring? So, yes, we do exhibit some of the same signs as everyone else, but there's some signs specifically for Black women that we should not overlook and we need to delve in and ask more questions about.
So let me ask you this, because I know, could it be some kind of way, and you touched on this a little bit, that there's a denial because the black woman, from even to the times of slavery, has always had to been that person that holds the family up. It's initially saying it's the black man, but because of how the rural structures against the black man, the woman had to stand in the gap in a lot of cases. And so they don't look at it as being depression. They just look at it as a part of what they're supposed to do to bring their family up. Whereas there are other nationalities, and I won't say, but they're the majority nationality, will really dive into depression, even if they're not depressed. So could it be that black women are so much programmed to not look at depression because they've always been that mighty woman, a superwoman that had to stand up in the gap for generations?
Absolutely, because we've been taught to be strong, to keep going on no matter what. And some of it, yes, is denial, and some of it simply is not understanding what the symptoms are. I often ask, are you feeling depressed or anxious in the office? And I get this look like, well, I don't know. Well, it's because we don't know the signs. And, we're told to just keep going, don't worry about it, push through, pray about it, and those are all some good tools. But at the, first we got to understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And you even said that, and people have asked me before, "Are you depressed?" And I'm like, "No," but to be honest with you, that was I, because I may have been sad, but I didn't know if I was depressed, and so it's like a borderline. Am I depressed? Because depression sounds like it might be a weakness, but sadness is just a feeling. So I mean,
Absolutely.
sometimes maybe I was, but I didn't want to accept that.
Well, and then we also have to know that there is a difference between being sad, being clinically depressed, and
Yeah.
just in a depressed mood. Those are different things. But when this is ongoing and it's lasting, weeks and months, and it's starting to affect your quality of life, that's more than sad.
Yeah.
We all have sad moments. That's just an emotion that we all are going to deal with.
Yeah.
But depression is different. It's ongoing. It's lasting for a long time. It's affecting the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act. It's starting to change your productivity at work, your interactions and relate with relationships and your spouse and with your children. So there's something else is going on other than I just feel sad.
I want
But
to.
let me say this: when you're feeling sad or when you're having a depressed mood, we don't want to blow that off because we don't want that to become depression. These are things that when you talk, you should be able to talk to your healthcare provider about or a family member if that's the case. But you want to bring this to someone's attention as well, because you don't have to do this alone. We can, there should be a supportive community around you or build a supportive community around you.
I had was told probably about a couple of years ago that it's this commercial out about what is that NyQuil commercial? Moms don't get sick, dads don't get sick, and someone said they viewed me that way, that it seemed like I never be depressed or I go through anything because I'm helping them out all the time. I'm the person trying to keep peace with everybody and do this and do this, and then with me, I just hold everything in. So it's like, just keep going because you're here for other people. Nobody want to hear your story. I don't want to see the phony violin being played. Like, Brenda, you don't have no problems. Whereas at that time, I probably was going through something. And just like you said, I just prayed it away and just stayed faithful to God and stuff. But it made me think, hey, that was a period of time I was exhausted,
Exactly.
mentally drained. And I had to just say to my friends, I always call them my favorite five. I said, Brenda's about to check out now. I'm going to resume back in a week because I have to put me first just to get my well-being and process what I was going through. But I was sleeping a lot, saying what didn't have a cold or anything. And I just felt the need. I just went in the middle of the day. I just want to go take a nap. And that is so not like me. But I didn't deem it as, oh, I'm depressed. It was just, I'm tired. I'm just mentally tired, which, like you said, that's a sign we need to focus on.
Absolutely. And I think we have to say to ourselves, it really is okay not to be okay. We
Yes.
all, before anybody can even ask us how we're doing, we scream out, I'm blessed and highly favored. All want to be in that position, but it is, depression is real. And when we do
Mhm.
not address it, it can have some very serious consequences. And so you want to address any signs of depression within yourself, when you see it in other people. And sometimes we're afraid because we don't want to push anybody towards suicide or anything like that. But you're not going to do that by asking someone, how are you feeling? How can I help you? Do you want me to accompany you to the doctor? These are all things that are their support. They're
Right.
not pushing someone to
Mhm.
do something. And we have to be careful in our community because one of the biggest barriers is that we are misdiagnosed.
Right.
We go in, we talk to our health providers, and sometimes we are dismissed and told, oh, you'll get over it. It's just sad. You're just being sad. But we have to stand up and be self advocate and say, look, this is more than just being sad. This is not my normal. This is something different. And then we have to
Mhm.
be willing to, sometimes we can get therapy for it. Um, Sometimes we could do mindfulness practices such as, meditation and yoga and journaling, and all these things, exercises can help us with our mood. And there are times when we do need to take medication, and that is okay. We are not
Mhm.
weak because we're taking medication. We are not weak because
Amen.
we're getting help for ourselves.
Yeah.
We will come to the doctor, for if our hand is bleeding, or if we're having some kind of physical pain. Well, if you're in mental pain, you should run to the physician and get yourself.
Run. Hmm.
Yeah. Let me just say this, because you're a doctor and I'm the minister. Uh, People, stop test the line and saying I'm blessed and highly favored.
Yeah.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. We got to stop doing that. Like we glorifying God. The honest thing is that there are a lot of times that we are not blessed. And number one, that's out of scripture how you said it. But we're not blessed and highly favored all the time. We do have issues of depression that we need to deal with it. You're absolutely right. We're misdiagnosed so many times. And just hey, you'll be all right. Go on out there and get and take care of the world. And we like, oh, okay, I'm not depressed, and we go on allowing ourselves to feel that what we're going through is normal when it's not normal. So in these 8 signs of depression, Dr. Anderson, help us out to get us to understand what are those 8 signs and what we need to look for.
So the main thing you want to look for is if you're having any changes in your sleeping habits, if you're sleeping too much, if you're sleeping too little, you want to say, hey, is this something more than just I'm tired, And you always want to look at these symptoms in terms of, is there something else that could be causing them? If there's not, then you definitely should tap in and say, well, maybe I'm depressed. If you just find yourself angry and there's no real reason in the present moment that you're angry, you need to ask yourself what else is going on. Another thing, when you come in for physical symptoms, you got headache, you got backache, you got belly pain, and all this other stuff, and all the tests say that all the tests are normal. Is this depression? Is this coming from something else? And then, in our community, it's so easy to feel like you can't go and talk to anyone because we feel that we have to be these super women. But from black woman to black woman, we have to stop doing this and find ways to support one another in this. You can say no, you can set boundaries, in your life. That's so important to live your life. Otherwise, you find yourself stuck in somebody else's life. And when you have these coping behaviors, you're overspending, you're over eating, you are, having using drugs and other things like that to try to cope with what you're feeling. When you're using things to cope with real feelings, you need to ask yourself, am I depressed?
So let me ask you this, because I want to dive a little bit into the sleeping, because I'm sure that people are saying, how can, if I'm too sleepy, how does that give me the sign that I'm depressed? Because there's sometimes that I'm like, man, I'm really sleeping. It's just I didn't get enough rest. But how can I tell that that is a sign of depression?
Because you know that you've had adequate rest. So you just want to sleep because you want to sleep instead of dealing with what's going on.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? You want to sleep the problem away, and that's never going to happen. You know, so that's when you know that this is more than. And also, you could be getting too little sleep. You're just up all night thinking, and that could be also a sign of depression. So when you look at your symptoms, you're looking at the extremes: too much, too little, eating too much, eating too little. All of those things could be a sign of depression.
Because I'm glad you brought that up, because you're new to our show. We've been doing this for like 10 years, and we've been very, straightforward and honest. There was a time that we were going through a foreclosure, and what you said about sleep is exactly right. I was looking forward more to sleeping than I was being awoke, because that sleep took me away from the problem. It was almost like Diana Ross says, "Good morning, heartache. Here we go again." I was more excited about sleeping and getting in the bed, and that sleep, that's when I went to sleep, it felt good because it allowed my mind is for a moment to relax and not think of the problems. And it is a way to kind of not cope with those issues, and a way of understanding that at that period of time there was a period of depression because I was so worried about not having a roof over your head. God has kept us here for 30 years, so he's been a blessing there. But at that moment, it was very difficult for me. But that sleep was just amazing.
Absolutely. And the other thing.
Go ahead. Let it finish.
All
Just
right,
let it finish.
hand. I have a question for you, Bernadette. Well, Dr. Bernadette. Now, I'm going through menopause. Everything on this list is symptoms of menopause with me. So I'm like, wait a minute, am I depressed or is it my menopause? Am I depressed or is it my menopause? The thing with the opposite is I rarely get some good sleep because at night I'm having the hot flashes, the night sweats, and then when the sleep hit me in the middle of the day around 2 something, it's like, nope, you got stuff to do, because if I lay it down at 2, I'm getting up near 7 because I'm going to try to get some 4 hours in it that I missed for the night. Then the irritability. So like I said, is this a fine line for me that Rick say, oh, you never say I'm being moody. The way he looking at me, I don't know.
I don't know a time that you're not moody.
See, it's like for 8 years since when I turned 50, now it's going on 58. It's like my whole body just seemed like it's not my body anymore. My mindset, my thoughts. So I'm like, am I depressed about the menopause? Is that what I'm going through? Or is it all the same here? I don't know.
Actually, you have these symptoms plus a depressed mood. So the symptoms are not just isolated. You also have a feeling of a depressed mood that goes along with them. That's when you know this is depression versus I'm just going through menopause.
Okay, like that's my excuse for snapping all day, every day for 8 years.
8 years only. We've been married for 30 years, so that accounts for 8 of those years.
Hey.
we crazy on this show. You're gonna learn that. We crazy. We just real. One of the things that I know that as a sign of depression, and you mentioned this a little bit too, is trying to be there for someone else. So speak to a woman right now who is there for her children, for her husband, and it's so depressing for her that she doesn't have enough time for herself. And share a little bit about some things that she should do in order to reclaim that time so she's not in a period of depression.
Right. Listen, we all understand that when we are a part of a family, and we want to support and love and show our love for one another, and that's fine. But the thing is, you also need to show that same love and support for yourself. You know, we need to make ourselves the priority. You certainly can't ask anyone else to do that if you're not willing to do that. So it's not that we neglect our families, but we include ourselves. Our needs are just as important as anyone else's needs. And that if that means taking an hour, finding an hour in your day, finding 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there to do something that's important for you, learning how to take those deep breaths during the day. I check in with myself constantly, asking myself, how do I feel? As I run a busy practice, and I always am saying, how do I feel? Because if I'm not feeling well, if I'm not showing up my best, I certainly have nothing to give to my patients when they come in. So I think one of the things that we have to understand is that it is not selfish to take care of you. And that's what we have to learn as a woman. Take care of you. That's just as important as taking care of your children and taking care of your husband and any other family member that you are taking care of. And so you have to find what's important to you. How do you relax? How do you let go? And include those things on a daily basis. We always wait until we go on vacation to do anything. All right. But you need to have some space in your everyday life. For me, I get up in the morning, I do meditation. I like to journal as soon as I get home from work to let things go, to release. Each person has to find that tool that's going to allow them to show up in their life for themselves and not just for family members.
That is so important. How do I, as an individual, being married to a black woman, um, help when I see signs of depression?
One of the things is you do is you ask questions and you be like you just said, you're very open and very honest on the show, but you be that way in a relationship too. Sometimes we're afraid to ask that question. Are you feeling depressed? Don't need to beat around the bush. Don't need to give it a fancy name. You need to ask that question and then begin to have a dialogue about it and a conversation about it. And if she doesn't know, offer, well, hey, why don't we make an appointment with the physician or whoever your health provider is, and let me go in with you so we can have a conversation with the health professional there to guide us. So ask the question. We always avoid the question like it's a stigma, we don't want the person to think we're saying that they're weak. We must, as a culture, as a community, take the stigma out of depression and mental health, period.
Yeah, that's true. Now I'm gonna come back to you now, cause you know how some of these sisters can be. When you ask them a question like that, it's like, why you asking me that question? How do we kind of walk? You said just ask them, but then like that woman might, be mad at you. Sometimes a brother, even though we strong and we think we bad, we don't want to jump into that lion's den and ask that question. So is there some telltale signs or some things that we can do also to help if we somehow can't just come up and ask that question? Because it can be rough. We've been honest. It can be rough sometimes to ask somebody that because they don't want you to pry that much. You can ask a woman's age sometimes before you can ask them are they depressed, because
Absolutely.
you're like, don't, why you saying that, and it's almost like you've insulted them. So is there something you could do to kind of like see this and do things to help with it, and if I feel that I can't come to that person and ask that question?
Well, one of the things, to help soften the blow, you can just tell the person, well, look, I noticed some differences. I noticed some changes, if you don't want to use that word depression, because sometimes they may be in denial themselves. But actually asking the question might actually be the thing that helps them the most, because then it'll get them to thinking, well, you know what? I am. And when you ask the question and you're letting them know, look, I'm here to support you, not here to pass judgment. We got to get rid of this weak and strong thing because I don't really even know what that means. You
Yeah.
know, when we ask, hey, I noticed that, you don't seem interested in doing some of the things that you used to do. I noticed that, you are sleeping a lot. I noticed that, you have a sad mood. So just sometimes just asking about the symptom that's concerning you might be a softer blow or softer way to ask than just say, hey, are you depressed?
Yeah.
Because
So,
that, to be honest, she might not even know she's depressed.
yeah. So here's a question that
Might be mental.
I might, it might be menopause. Here's a question that, and I don't know if this happens a lot, the statistics with black women, but we know that a severe case of depression can lead to suicide. And so speak to a young lady who is right now, who is having a severe issue, and help her to get off of that ledge of thinking about my life is not worth it.
Well, when somebody is clinically depressed and they're having suicidal thoughts, the most important thing is they need to get professional help.
Amen.
He is calling the suicide hotline is a good way to start if they don't have a healthcare provider, or if they have a physician or a nurse practitioner they see, they need to go and speak to someone. Because when you're at that point, you need help immediately. You need intervention immediately,
Yeah.
to guide and help you. This isn't the time at that point. That's not the time to beat around the bush. That's when you say, look, I'm going to go with you. I've already called and made the appointment for you. I'm going to be there to support you. Sometimes people just need help because there's so much stigma around depression.
Yeah.
But if you're on it, if you're on the ledge and you hanging by a finger, talk to somebody. Call that suicide hotline. Let them know what's going on, and they are professionals and they will be able to guide and help you with this.
So, by the way, do you know someone that they can actually contact or call if they need some assistance?
Yes, the suicide hotline, I think it's the 988 suicide um, number that you can call to get assistance. Um, and that's a good place to start.
So, are you one of those people they can contact as well?
Well, I'm a family medicine physician, but yes, my patients could definitely call in and talk to me
Yeah.
about or come and make an appointment with me about it. But the other thing is, if you want to talk to your primary care provider, you need to call, but also let them know that this isn't an urgent appointment, that this isn't something that could wait 2 weeks, 1 month, whatever, whenever they can get you in. But let them know I need to speak to someone for depression, and I feel like I'm having clinical depression so that you can, get moved up on that time.
I
So
have a question for you. It's a man, two men that took their lives. One was Robin Williams, the actor, always happy, always jovial. That's what we seen. That's what they presented themselves to us. And I forgot the other guy name. He was Ellen DeGeneres, dancer or backup person. How he just committed suicide. These people was whenever you see them, it's like, man, I wish I had their life. Because they were so happy. You never know what's behind that smile. That's why I always ask people, especially my girls and stuff, my as we say, our crew, our village, our tribe, how you doing? Because a lot of people never get that. They never
abs-
get how are you doing, Bernadette? And so,
absolutely. And
yeah.
hey, we've been told to smile through it, to push through it. And so we
Mm-hmm.
do that. So just because, the person is smiling, it doesn't mean that they're not going through something. I like what you just said. You have to check in with your sisters every now and then and say,
Mm-hmm.
how are you doing? I have a good friend of mine, Dr. Janine White, who she just occasionally calls me and say, how are you doing? What's going on with you? And that means the world to me that
Yep.
somebody is checking in with me
Mm-hmm.
from a mental perspective. And the question then allows me to be open and honest about how I'm feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The great musical philosopher Smokey Robinson had a song that says, people say that I'm the life of the party because I tell a joke or two. Although I might seem fine, deep inside I'm blue. People can always disguise how
Mm-hmm.
they look out in public, but inside they can be torn apart. And as you were saying, all you need to do is say, "Hey, how you doing?" and that can change and save someone's life. Before you go, just give us the 8 signs again. And believe me, you will be back on this show if we can get you on there because this has been a blessing.
Yes, it
Absolutely. So you want
has.
to look for emotional exhaustion. If someone seems, very irritable and angry, but there's really no current or present reason for them to feel that way. If you keep on hearing your friend or loved one talk about all these physical problems, I got a headache, I got a bellyache, I got always having some type of ache and pain, you might want to look into that and see if it's more than just, physical problems. Um, and then this increased awareness, chronic stress that's always around us. That's another, people are so tuned into that. We all call that kind of weathering, having to deal with that chronic stress. So when you see people so focused on that or heightened awareness around, the whole racism issues, you want to check in with that. Um, if the person just seems like they're just kind of like what you said, I'm just so happy, I'm the superwoman, I'm saving everybody else, you might want to then see, hey, you know what's going on with you though? Okay.
Are you
Um,
saving yourself?
Exactly, exactly. And then if you
Mhm.
see your friend with all these coping behaviors, they're, overeating, overspending, just overindulging in life things, then you want to ask too, hey, what's going on? This isn't your normal character. And then we talked about the sleep disturbances. And then, if you see a spiritual disconnection for a person who was really, always been had strong faith, then you want to ask questions. It's like, well, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Because that could be a sign that they're losing hope,
Yes.
And once you lose hope, what else is there?
Yeah. So I know you're in and you're not in Chicago. Do you take online
Mhm.
patients at all, or is just strictly from that state?
Yes, I take only from Ohio.
Okay. So it's I just want to like people know that this is a if you're in Ohio, this is a beautiful, spiritual, wonderful person to speak to. We appreciate you being on our show. We will definitely be looking for you to come back again to share. And I thank you very much for the information you shared with our guests on the Let's Stay Together talk show.
And I want to say this last thing. You take some beautiful pictures. I'm gonna put your. I found another picture of you that's so beautiful. I'm gonna put it out there with all of these 8 things after the show for these women to pay attention. Pay attention. So thank you.
I just want to say one joke
Thank
before you
you.
go. Obviously, men have no problems because there's no 8 signs for depression for
Oh, it
black men.
is. It is.
So the men are we have no issues whatsoever. Is that correct, doctor?
That is
No.
not true. And so I will make sure that I address that.
Right. You will be coming back soon, then.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're gonna see a new thing on there. You know, 900 issues that black men. Like, wait a minute.
We only had
You only
8.
had
They got
8. How we get that
900.
many? Come on now.
Exactly.
But you know what that falls in line though. Society and culture really plays a part in it. Not with us, we know it play a part, but for you guys, it play a big part too. Being a black man in this world, being the head of the household, being a father, everything is really made against you.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you get depressed, don't give us 900. But shit, Bernadette will make it work out for you. And
Hey,
stuff.
Yeah.
once
You have to invite me back to hear about the men.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you
But
coming
believe
back?
me, when you all you gotta do is tell me I got it ready for you, and we'll bring you back.
Yeah.
Hey, again, thank you for being patient with the hour change because I didn't know it was Ohio. I want to tell everybody she was on this air waiting for us, and I just love that about her.
That's a
Like,
woman.
where these people at? So I apologize, but I didn't let you know that we're an hour difference because I didn't know. So again,
That's
I apologize and thank you very much for
But I
being
do want to
on our
say to
show.
the audience, though, even though I am located in Columbus, I do have events that are coming up that are going to be across the country. So, you can always.
You can share that if you want to now.
Yeah, well, the one that we're planning will be in April, and you can look on either my LinkedIn or Instagram at Dr. Bernadette MD. And that one is going to be out in Oregon, and it's going to be a retreat, and we're really going to delve into some issues, and we're going to leave much differently than we came.
Okay.
Amen.
Excuse me. If you share that information with us, we'll make sure that we'll continuously to tell people about that on our show. So is this just strictly for women or just
No, it's
okay?
for men and women.
Okay, so you already got our 900 problems together. Okay, so it's
Yeah.
for men or women. Just send that information over to me, and I'll make sure we share it each time we're on the show.
Thank you.
All right, thank you
Thank
again for
you.
being on our show. We appreciate you very much.
Okay,
All
bye-bye.
right, bye bye. All right, so we know at least there's 8 problems with women, 900 for men. It's coming. That's the next bestseller. There's 8 signs of depression for women, but there's 900 for men. So you're going to see that coming up. Hey, we're going to go to some songs here. All the songs that we're playing are from the people who are going to be at the SOAR Radio Award. 2024 SOAR Radio Award is going to be on March the 4th. So every person you hear on our show, you hear music on there, it's going to be coming from people that are going to be guests there until that time. So you're going to just hear nothing but artists that are going to be at the SOAR Radio Awards in Rockville, Illinois. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. So make sure, we're going to talk about it a little bit when we come back on the air. But listen up to these songs that we have, and I believe the next song you're going to hear is going to be from Paul Bill Jr., Broken Glass, and Dwayne Cole, Run. So listen up to this music. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right. Hey, I hope you all enjoyed this. Facebook, YouTube. Hope you all enjoyed this. We be bringing you, by the grace of God, some amazing people. And I say by the grace of God because I don't know these people. I've never met them in my life. God has connected me with them to bring them to the show. I do diligently searching for people, but I always go to God in prayer to find the right person to bring on the show that can educate us. And as you can see, spiritually divine people that we have on here that comes on our show that shares with us. And so, I hope you can appreciate what God is doing with the show because we're sharing with people who have a lot of knowledge about subject matters that they're very important, for people, of all generations. And so, next week we're going to have some young people coming on the show. They're going to be sharing some important information. So, enjoy. If you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, and you're listening to this show, stay with us. Come back and enjoy us because we are trying to provide not only taboo topics that are not talked about in the church, but real, meaningful, knowledgeable information to share with people so they have a viewpoint that can help them along the way.
Yeah, and since you brought up SOAR Radio, 2024 SOAR Awards is coming up Monday, March the 4th, and the pre-show starts at 5:30. And the live main show is at 7 p.m. It is hosted by Todd Delaney, and it's at Coronado Performing Arts Center at 314 North Main Street. That's in Rockford, Illinois. You don't want to miss it because it is honoring this year Marvin Sapp, Ricky Dillard, Travis Green, Kim Burrell, and they have live performances from some of the best. I mean, if you can, and tickets are still being out there to be sold, if you can score a ticket, this is worth the trip. Now, that is a Monday night on March the 4th. So if you can get out there, because they are doing it up and doing it big.
Let me tell you something. SOAR Radio has put Rockford on the map. I mean, you have some of the top-notch gospel people. We're going to share this again on the radio as well, so you're going to hear this again. But top-notch gospel people coming to SOAR Radio. I mean, it's such a blessing that God has connected us with SOAR Radio because you have top-notch people on the air coming to the show. Producer Kenny Crawford, top-notch people on there, and he's bringing you the best. It's on a Monday. You could take a Monday off. Go to work. Go to work on Sunday.
Tuesday off.
Yeah,
because you're gonna need that Monday to do what you're gonna do.
If you like gospel music, this is the place to be. This is the closest you're gonna get to some good gospel music in the Chicagoland area. Because they jam. I'm telling you, I really enjoy that. We're gonna be there. I mean, it is they jam, and I mean, when I say they be clowning gospelly, I mean they, you get Jacqueline Carr. She might give you a concert, baby. The Clark sisters were there one time, and they just went off. I mean, it's just a blessing to be in the Rockford area. If you are a Christian, you like gospel music, you love God, March 4th, Rockford, you need to be there. It is a blessing that they are doing some great honoring some people. I want to. I'm gonna ask Justin one time about getting CC Wyman, the CC Wine and BB Wine there one time. Maybe he'll honor them, but they got some great people, and you got some people singing. And the song that we listen to now, I think it's coming from this guy named Bill Jr. That's not Bill Jr. I'm gonna look at his name again. It is Paul Bill Jr. Broken Glass is such a surreal and song where he talks about the pain of losing someone he loved, but in that time he found God, which offset that pain because now he has someone who won't leave him or forsake him. It's such of a song that can connect to people that are going through depression, who have lost a loved one, who has ended, and you need that, someone to be there for you. It is such a blessing. So if you can get out to Rockford, you definitely want to make sure March the 4th you're out there, so you can hear this amazing gospel music that they have. What you got for me? And as far as any stories, real quick.
Nearly 65,000 pregnancies from rape have occurred in states with abortion bans. Now, that is horrific. This has been going on for 18 months since they banned it in so many states that you cannot get a legal abortion. People who have been raped, and now they saying, it's crazy. Now they saying, how we know they've been raped? They probably reported it. They probably had a rape kit done. And because they can't leave, even if they did leave the state, you would get penalized for it. The doctor would get penalized for the person even driving. You could get penalized for it. It's so sad that these people who got raped have to keep a child that they didn't want or expect at that time. And I know the child had nothing to do with it, but that is such a hard pill to swallow when it's your body and the government is making the decisions for you, Rick.
I mean, again, we talked about that, and there's a difference of opinion. This is a very, can be a very volatile conversation because people, religious-wise, would say that, you shouldn't, abortion is against God's will, and we can agree that, there are other things that are against God's will too that we do in this world. But to sit there and say that, how do we know that they were raped, and to have such an alarming number, 65,000 people, and we're gonna make it seem like, how do we know? It's not how do we know, it's what's happening, because people feel more emboldened. They're not concerned about the child. The rapist is not concerned about the child. He ain't concerned about the person. He just knows that now that there's no penalty for that rape as far as the child is concerned, because we've removed the woman's right to choose. And so it's a sad situation when something like that happens, and we need to look at it. And you've got evangelicals, Christians who are supporting people like Trump because they feel that he believes in the things that they believe. That's an antichrist move right there. He doesn't care about anything, and these people are making these decisions that are affecting other people with no consequence to themselves. They don't care what's going to happen to the individual afterwards. I'm not a person who believes in an abortion, but I do believe that we all have to go to God about the decisions we make, and He's given us free will. And I believe that a woman should have the right to make a decision instead of being told what they can't and cannot do. But in this situation, it's sad that you hear something after this Roe versus Wade. You got this many women who have been raped and being forced to make the decision that the government wants because they can't make it in that state. And if they leave the state, there's some laws that would say if they found out you left and came back, you'd be arrested. And there's even some states that says someone can tell on you that you're trying to do this, and they'll put you in jail. That's just ridiculous, you know. So everybody ready to get back on the show here on Soar Radio for those of you on Facebook and YouTube. So get ready. We're getting back on. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. I hope you all was listening. You had Bernadette Anderson, Dr. Bernadette Anderson, talking about the 7 signs of 7 signs. 8. I'm sorry. I took one away. 8 signs of depression for Black women. She's going to come back with her new subject, 900 issues of Black men, coming soon. But it was very informative. And women, Black women, powerful Black sisters that you are, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't feel shame. I mean, you're holding up the banner. You know, you've been holding up the banner. I mean, you've been the silent holding up the banner behind your man. And in some cases, you've been in front of your man. In some cases, because your man ain't there anymore. I mean, you've been there doing your thing. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need some help. Hey, I'm feeling depressed. Hey, sister, I need you. And sisters, don't be ashamed to say, hey, girl, you okay? You don't look right. Something wrong. What we need to do for you. Have that sisterhood where you care for each other. Because, you know, in a lot of cases, you look at it, your sister might be all you have.
That's true.
You know, and sisters, stop fighting against each other about silly things and stand up because, hey, if you live in this world as a Black person, depression is going to be sometimes can be your best friend because there's always something that you're fighting against. So if we're already fighting against other obstacles, we should not be fighting against each other.
I do want to say something in regards.
Okay. Do you want to say something? Say something, girl.
Now I can't.
Okay. See that? Now you can't say nothing. You do wanna. She wanna, but she can't. So we're gonna let her have her chance to say something. While she's doing all that, Soar Radio 2024 Soar Radio. We were talking about it off the air on Facebook and YouTube. Soar Radio is coming up with an award thing. She may have to walk out of the room in a second instead of just coughing. Soar Radio's got 2024 Soar Radio Awards is coming on March the 4th. So you're going to get a chance to hear some honoring Marvin Sapp, Ricky Dillard, Travis Green, Kim Barreo. It's going to be a great show. If you like gospel music, you definitely, I mean, heck, you almost stopped coughing how long it's taking you to get that thing out of your hair. These are some great people. If you like gospel music, you need to be in the Rockford area. And I was saying before, Soar Radio has put Rockford on the map. This is the place to be for gospel music. I mean, you just have the gospel giants that come there, and they come there continuously because they know that this is a place that they're going to be celebrated for the blessings that God has given them. And so you want to be able to be a part of this. And so as Brenda kind of sneaks herself out of the room, for those of you on Facebook, you can see this in YouTube, but you can't see it on Soar Radio. It's a great thing. And also, speaking of Soar Radio, you want to make sure you listen to the JD Morning Show each Wednesday between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. Only on Soar Radio here. Kenny, or I always say Kenny first because Kenny produces our show. But Justin, Justin is the one that, have JD Morning Show. We're talking about Justin. And Kenny and the gang will be on there talking about some great topics that we're talking about as well. I'm going to go to a second to the story. Give me a second because Brenda left it in. But I think I can just paraphrase it. There was a study that was saying that since Roe v. Wade, there has been 65,000 rapes for women in states where they are not allowed legally to have an abortion. And this has been a big issue with pro-life, pro-choice people going forward with this situation with the Roe versus Wade reversal, where there seems to be an increased number of women being raped because of this lack of concern about them. Now, you may not like the fact that women or people can take an abortion. You may be against that. But we need to be for a woman's choice for their bodies. We talked about that last Tuesday eloquently with our sister and, Sharice. And it was an awesome conversation. Christian or not, this is information that we need to know, because the Bible says the people perish because of lack of knowledge. If we don't have this knowledge about certain things, we might be the syphilis trial again, where we have the lack of knowledge about things and allow people to do what they want. 65,000 women being raped, and then someone says, how do we know they got raped? We've got to be accountable for the things that we do in this world. And I said evangelicals are standing up because they believe that Trump is standing, in the gap, saying this is the Christian thing to do. The man doesn't care about anything. There was a video that came out earlier when Trump wasn't a Republican. He said the Republicans are stupid. And this video was played, and these Republican people will still vote for him, even though he said they're stupid. They're stupid. They're easily manipulated. And they'll still do this. And so evangelicals, the man does not care about what we want as Christians. He's not interested in following God. And so we have to be very careful about the things that we hear. Now, Brenda may be out for a second. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is going to be talking about why did I get married? And the subject is going to be on, is being married obsolete? And I brought this up because, I don't know, some of y'all may not have been born at the time of the beachnik and the hippies and stuff like that, where people were just gladly living, together with each other, and, the stereotypical standard, get married, have 2 kids, a dog, and a picket fence was, replaced by living free and loving free. And so many decades after that, the spiritual guidance of God saying that a man should leave his family and cleave unto his wife, he's leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife, has been replaced with a standard of just living together and see how things work. Now, according to my house to divorce lawyers, some leading causes of divorce among Christians. Now we were talking about is marriage obsolete? They're saying that Christians are not only not staying married, but are divorcing at almost the same rate as non-Christians. And they're saying it's the same reasons: infidelity, communication problems, substance abuse, financial stressors, and unresolved prior conflict. But this is what was interesting. According to the UW Religion Today, non-denominational Protestant churches, especially Pentecostal and evangelicals, have a higher divorce rate than any other denomination. Now, the evangelicals are the ones that are supporting Trump. They have a higher divorce rate than any other denomination. In 2015, just a little bit farther back, the divorce rate for these churches were 34%, while only 24% were atheists, Christians, and Lutherans had been divorced. Now, I don't understand why they put Catholics, I should have said, not Christians, but atheists, Catholics, and Lutherans. I don't understand why they put Catholics and Lutherans with atheists, but you do realize they didn't say anything about Baptists, which is majority of African Americans. It says, according to Bama, born-again Christians have the same likelihood to divorce as non-Christians. So the question is, have we gotten to a point where being married is obsolete? That it's, no one wants to be married anymore? We don't care about marriage at all? It says here, a larger share of adults have cohabited than married. I've known some people that have been in a relationship with each other for 17 years and don't want to get married. Everything about that relationship is like a marriage. They just don't want to have that legal, spiritual, I would say, ramification behind them. So they'll live together. Among adults ages 18 to 44, 59% have lived in an unmarried partner for some point of their lives, while 50% have never been married. So it seems like the stature of God saying that a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife, and the scripture that tells us that a man should love his wife as God loves the church, and the wife should submit unto her husband as the head of the relationship. We're not doing it anymore. It seems like being married is almost a waste of time. And so I'm curious to know, what do people think about marriage nowadays? Are you okay over there? You grunting now too?
Just trying to...
Okay. I mean, this is what I love about Brenda. She really seems like she doesn't realize she's on the radio. I'm like, we're on the radio.
Y'all heard that?
I know I heard it. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think marriage is changing. The way we seen it is definitely changing. If you're a Christian, that was the biggest thing. It was a tradition to get married, with the time being like in the early 1900s, a woman married so that she could have her children legally and have her children be provided by the husband. And basically, men marry, yes, because of love and everything, and you marry for love, religion, whatever, out the economic status. But men who had morals back then really wanted to marry the person they wanted their kids by back then. Now they sprouting kids out here and there and Papa Rolling Stone type of thing. But marriage dynamics has changed. It's not just the heterosexual couples that are getting married. The way we seen it, it has declined, and it went on the uptick the other way with lesbian marriages, gay marriages, people believing that, oh, well, we don't have to be married, like you just said, with a friend or whomever. We could just live together, but something happened to that person. Who gets the benefits of that? And now people say you just put them on a life insurance policy.
Yeah.
But the traditional marriage of what we've known and grown to love is dwindling out, and the scope of it is changing so much that we're the lesser, the heterosexual marriages are the lesser of what the world see now.
Yeah. So let me just say this about marriage being obsolete. It has always been Satan's desire to destroy the foundation of marriage. Now, if you understand marriage and what God had marriage designed for, marriage was designed so that a man and a woman could procreate godly seed. Godly seed is divine or produce through a man being with a woman, a Christian man or believing man, the man of the way that they used to call it back then, a man of faith, a man who has accepted Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. He's with a woman that also believes in Christ. And between them, because they are Christians, they have brought out godly seed to populate the earth. Now, how that godly seed was produced, God allowed man to be sexually active with women. The only way we're supposed to be sexually active is for procreation. But God allowed us to do it also with pleasure. We're the only animals on the earth that have sex for pleasure. So, if I'm not trying to accept Christ, I'm not going to try to be or concerned about godly seed, but I do want to be able to have sex. And so if I'm tearing down the foundation of what marriage is, what marriage was produced, then there's nothing wrong with me tearing down the foundation of getting married, therefore making it obsolete, because I'm not trying to follow anything that God is calling me to do anyway. And so with that mindset, Satan is always trying to get man to see you don't have to choose the way of the Lord. You can have sex.
There's other options.
You can enjoy it. You can be with same sex. You can do this. These are the desires of the flesh that and lusts that Satan places in us to go against the very foundation. Mankind didn't bring up the institution of marriage. It was God, and he had a purpose. And the great thing is he allowed us to enjoy it, which means I don't have to produce a godly seed to have sex, but if I'm having sex, I have the ability to produce a godly seed. So back in the days, in the Egyptian days, if a woman gave a child, even back in some of the 50s, 1800s, if a woman produced a child and it wasn't a boy, it was almost like, she's not worth anything. I need a male heir. That's what you're here for. Now, they wasn't doing this for a spiritual thing. They were doing it for a godly thing for themselves. I want someone to, carry on my legacy. What God was doing is saying, I want you to carry on my legacy by producing Christians or people of the faith like I am, have a spirit of obeying and following God. But if I don't want to do that, then I got to destroy everything that's attached to it. And marriage becomes obsolete when we don't want to follow the guidelines or the structures of God for why we become married. We've made it all kind of, you got that white picket fence in the house and the 2 kids. Oh, you're doing great. You got a great family. That's not what God designed it for. I mean, it's great to have the picket fence, a house, a dog and 2 kids and a happy marriage. And we have a happy marriage. Like, what is his name? I can't even think of his name right now. The white rapper. I can't think of his name. Eminem, yeah. That's you have to know the song. That wasn't God's intent. His intent was to bring godly seed, and he allowed us to enjoy the fruits of that with sex. And so if I can destroy the foundation, I need to destroy the structure of marriage. So I can live outside of that. So I can have sex without being married, produce a child, take care of him, not take care of him. Stay with the white woman, don't stay with the woman. Have some more kids, Nick Cannon. What, he got 18 kids by now? I mean, you can do those things because I'm tearing down the foundation of what God instituted marriage to be. So I cannot tear the foundation down and let anything stand within that. Oh, I like being married, but you know, we have an open marriage. We can have sex with other people in a marriage. No, that's you're tearing down the foundation. And so yes, when we say that that marriage is falling apart, it is. It says a study found that 34% of marriages ended among those who lived together before being engaged. So you live together and you say, oh, let's do this. And then it ends anyway because you tore down the foundation of what your marriage is for. Me and Brenda going on 30 some odd years with each other. I've continuously made sure that I stay with the foundation of what marriage is for. And no matter what struggles or trials and tribulations, you follow that foundation. I'm there to be with one woman. She's supposed to be with one man. And we're supposed to produce godly seed. Now, if you don't, God ain't going to be mad. But the foundation is for that. You can't come to heaven because you didn't produce any kid. No. It's the foundation of what procreation is for. And so when we destroy that foundation, then marriage is obsolete. That's why you see most people now, they don't want to get married. Now they don't mind getting married on New Year's Day so they can be the first person in the state to be married. I mean, so, wow, this is great. And some people, they get married and they spend all kinds of money on that wedding day and don't do anything for the structure and the foundation of marriage. It's just, I want to get, we've been having sex. Let's be honest. We've been having sex for a while. Let's move it up to the next level. You've already destroyed the foundation. And so if you're out there and you're dating someone, and ladies, and you haven't had sex with that young man, don't. And if he doesn't want to stay, let him go. And guy, if you can stand and wait, be patient. Follow the word of God. Don't be coming to church on Sundays and you didn't just had sex with somebody you wasn't married to on Saturday and act like you doing the right thing. I'm not saying don't come to church anymore, but clean up your act. Walk the way God wants us to walk, and then he will give us of the desires of our hearts. Have our marriage been perfect? Absolutely not. But you know what? We've walked how God wants us to walk. And as he's happy, I don't need perfection. I just need his happiness, his mercy and his grace, and him saying, well done, my good and faithful servant. I'm going to leave it there. We've got some other things we need to share. But the question was, is being marriage obsolete? And the way the world is going now, I think marriage is going to be something that is going to be like, whatever. It's a fad. Let's do it. Let's not do it. We don't have to do it. We like each other. We love each other. Let's just do what we do. What you got for me?
On that topic?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Next topic.
Moving on. So, Club 50, we just going to say this quick before we read this letter. Club 50 had a good one last week with Nicole Tony. If you have not read that article, please do at theclub50.com. Beautiful young lady that's doing her thing, has her own business. I never want to mispronounce the name again. Check it out at theclub50.com, and more to come for next month with another guest that's going to blow you guys away. Ife Designs is saying, hello world. Valentine's Day is approaching very soon. But if you don't want a poster done for that, we still do banners, invitations, flyers, whatever you need and want. Ife Designs could get it done. Just contact me on Facebook if you want to message me or inbox me or DM me, whatever they call it, do that if you have my number, call or text. I can't wait to get to this letter, Rick. This is a doozy here. We got enough time, right?
Yes.
Okay. The relationship letter says, Dear LSTT, I have been dating 2 guys for the past 6 months. Nothing serious has panned out, and I wanted to keep my options open. Both of the guys know that I am dating openly, and they are allowed to see other women if they so desire to. However, one of the guy's friends that I have met saw me out with the other guy, and he went back and told him. Now he has a problem with our relationship, and he has a problem with our arrangement. LSTT, do you think his problem with our situation stem from A, he's not being honest with his friends, B, he is getting too involved into our relationship and failed to tell me, C, his ego is being busted because his friends saw me out with someone else? Sincerely, why can't women casually date?
Wow. I would probably say more than likely his ego has been busted. You know, you don't want your guy coming to you saying, "Hey man, I saw your woman out with another guy," and you know, it's like you may have a internal agreement that that's okay, but you ain't told your boys, and so now when your boys come and say something, you're gonna get all indignant. Now, number one, you're wrong for doing something like that. If you've made that agreement that you all can date other people, then that's fine. But are you all really actually dating each other? I mean, you're not exclusive. You know, I mean, you can go out on a date that's different than dating. And it seems like what you all are doing is just going out on dates and just casually coming back together with each other and haven't made the commitment to date each other. Because when you make that commitment, you're saying, hey, I don't want you with anybody else. You don't want me with anybody else. But if this is the agreement that you and he made, and now he's got a little vanity going on, I think the question was, is he wrong or is he wrong?
Do you think his problem with our situation stem from?
Yeah, and I did say, well, you know, it's just, you know, his ego. You know, he got you know, feeling bad because one of his boys saw his girl out there. But if it's agreement that you made, then you stick with that agreement. Because if it had been the other way around, he'd be saying, girl, you know, we said we can do this. What you getting mad for? Your girlfriend saw me. That's, you know, hey, just tell her what it is. And so, yeah, I do think that it is, you know, his ego got a little bit busted. But I think what you all need to do is do a re-talk about the framework of this dates that you're having, because you're not really dating to me. This open relationship of dating or dates that you have with other people while you all are trying to figure out if you want to be with each other, because you know those kind of things can happen and can destroy a relationship that in itself might have a great way to flourish. But when you bring in, you know, another person, you know, three's company, that can cause an issue. So, yeah, I do think he's got his feelings hurt, but you all need to kind of reestablish the groundworks here to make sure that it's comfortable with each other, regardless if someone sees you or not.
Yeah, I totally agree with that his ego was busted because his friends saw her out with someone else. I mean, it's sad to say that, wow, okay, if we establish these rules of engagement before we got to dating and we both said, well, we can see other people, just, you know, do what you do, blah, 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 blah. But when somebody's been seen, it's like, it does make me think that individual did not tell us, hey, we casually dating, so y'all saw out. No, you probably, to me, reading this, I'm thinking, is he falling harder for her and he ain't telling her? Or is it just a male thing? I know that's what we said. I could do it and you can't.
I mean, and he could be falling more for her, but you know, hey, let's be honest, guys. We don't want our woman doing what we do. I mean, most men are like that. I don't mind going out there fooling around, but don't you fool around. You know, you know, me and Mrs. Jones, we got a thing going on. You know, I mean, he was doing it with Mrs. Jones. He was in a relationship. I mean, this is him singing it. You don't want it to be other way because, then your feelings get hurt. But when you establish an agreement, you need to stick with it or, say, hey, this ain't working for me.
Right.
We even got to reestablish this or, go on our own way. But you don't have the right to be mad.
Nope. Well, why can't women casually date? I hope you tuned in tonight because we read your letter and we thank you for sending that letter. Rick, where can they send their letters
They can
to?
send their letters to Let's Stay Together Talk Show at gmail.com. That's Let's Stay Together Talk Show at gmail.com. And y'all need to stop doing that crazy stuff. You know that ain't gonna work. Come on. Let's date everybody. No. Figure out what you want to do. Say, hey, we can go out on a date, but we're not dating.
You know what, when you think about that though, babe, I could see a man saying that because he's probably not thinking that she'll be dating someone else. She'll just be dating him. But I'm going to put this caveat on this relationship in the beginning. And she probably is a woman like, you know what? It's an open door policy. We could see who we want to see. We established this. And, unfortunately, his boy seen her out, and you know how you guys do. You probably hyped it up so much. She was all up under him, blah, 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 blah. So now that ego and then got so shattered, he got an attitude about it.
Well, thank you for being on the woman's side, but this can happen with women too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it can.
everybody has has the emotional limit of what they will accept. I mean, if one of her girls found him, all huggy with somebody else, she may have not liked it herself, and so
That's true.
it's like that song that says "Game People's Play." Night and day. I mean, we play these games and we try to come up with these things to make it seem like I'm not really into you, but I don't mind being with you, and we can do this, but we don't need to do that, and it gets to a point where we're trying to figure out who breaks first, and it could ultimately destroy something that could have been a great relationship because you're not really being honest with each other. You don't want to look like I'm the weak one or I want you more than you want me, and I mean, hey, just be honest. I mean, It's nothing wrong with getting your heart broke. But you have to first have a heart to break. You had to have a heart in the game. You had to have your foot in the game. Say, hey, I want to be with you. And then she said, I'm not ready to do that yet. Okay, let me move on. How long we gotta wait? Now I'm gonna date some other people. Okay, well, I mean, she might be worth waiting for, but make the decision. But there's too many games. I'm old school. Hey, I want to be with you. You want to be me? Yes, yes, no, no. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Hey, there's too many. That song, too many fish in the sea, too many, and there's too many. I'm just saying, too many black women that look just fine as can be, from light white to chocolate chip to dark as the night. Black women are the only women in the world can go from that spectrum of color and just have fine everywhere. Just fine everywhere.
And so there's no need for you to go to another race.
I'll just stand in line and say, I'm number 74 now because 73 didn't want me. I'm looking for number 74. It's too many. So, again, if you're trying to send a letter to it, you can send it to Let's Stay Together Talk Show at gmail.com.
Hey, play season has started back up in full swing.
Yeah.
What was it, last Thursday or Wednesday? Last Thursday, Let's Play Theatrical Review had the pleasure of going to the Chicago Magic Lounge.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. It was the feature magician was, I believe, Peter Samuelsons. And his theme was magic, love, and mystery. It explores the mystery of love through the eyes of a magician. It was beautiful. It was just so much fun. And if he's there for Valentine's Day, couple up, go there. You guys would not be disappointed.
Yeah, and the food is great there. So you have some good little snacks and stuff to eat with it. You know, for that's magic show is not theater, but we get a chance to see certain other things like magic shows, comedy that we go to and see as well. We get Second City that we have some things that we're going to be going to there soon. February is going to kick off a lot of busy time. Actually, we were supposed to be at a play tonight at Goodman Theater, but we don't we're not going to give up our radio show. And so we're going to reschedule that one to later on. But there's a plethora of shows you can watch, and I enjoy the magic. Brenda could have been on stage, but she didn't want to.
Let's tell them why.
Why don't you tell them why? In a short scenario of why.
He wanted me to put off my wedding band and engagement ring. That haven't been off my finger in almost 30 years. So, no, I wasn't going to do that because you're away from
Such
your
a dirty ring.
No, it's clean. It's pretty. You're away from your ring for a good, 20 minutes or so? You don't know where your ring at.
Yeah, he puts it in a little box or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
And he called Brenda because he was asking how many people were married and who was married over 20 years. And so we've been married almost 30. Raised a hand. He says, can I take your ring? No.
I said it just like that.
No.
Nope, you're not taking
And there was
my ring.
another African American woman sitting right next to her. They were married for 19 years, and she said the same thing. Nope.
We know how this goes.
Not-
We like, nope, you're not taking my ring.
Not taking his ring off. You ain't finna get. He ain't even had the ring off my finger. You ain't gonna get it off my finger.
And that's what that saying came in. I don't know you like that. So
Yeah.
you're not taking my ring. But it was a beautiful thing. A couple of 8 years, I believe, did participate. And she was shocked. She's like, okay, where my ring at? She was looking for a ring towards the end because she seen them put it somewhere, but it wasn't there.
And it's so interesting how they do it. I mean, the magic is very interesting, and it is great there. And you got some good people there that own the place that we get a chance to talk to and be around. And so you definitely want to if you get a chance, it's I didn't forget the place. What's the name of the place again? I'm sorry.
Chicago Magic Lounge.
Chicago Magic Lounge, and I want to make sure that I say it. And this is for people in the Chicagoland area. You got Joey and Cindy, who are like owners of the place. Both of them are great, people. Cindy's magic is just being just an awesome and wonderful person. She is a beautiful person to talk to, just sweet and nice, and they've always treated us, from the first time we came there, in a wonderful way. I mean, we're theater critics, so sometimes people don't want to talk to you because they're worried about what you're going to say, and it's always fun to go there. I mean, the magic is always interesting. I'm starting to see that some of these magicians are doing the same thing. So y'all need to change this up a little because you can go to a magic place, downtown, here, there, and they're kind of like doing the same thing. So y'all need to kind of talk to each other, find out what magic things that you're doing, so you ain't doing the same thing. But how he put this together with mystery and love was really nice.
It was. Yeah. And then just to walk into it is a treat with that because what you walk into does not look nothing like what it really is.
Right, yeah.
So.
It is. It's an interesting out there. And it's 5050 North Clark, I believe that's what the location is. Yeah, 5050 North Clark is the River North area. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, and if you want to know about some of the plays you can go see in the Chicagoland area, you can go to letsplaytheatricalreview.com. You'll see our website, and you'll see some of the reviews and plays that we've seen. And we haven't seen anything recently because the month of December and January was kind of like the off-peak time before they start off the new season, the 2024-25 season. But it's going to have some great things that are coming up. So definitely get ready. We got a lot of things we're going to be sharing from Let's Play Theatrical Review. Excuse me. We got a couple of minutes left here. Anything else you want to share? I mean, we can't go off the air 6 minutes before time. I mean, I paid like $1,000 a minute for this show.
Yeah, Well, we could say get ready for Soar Wars 2024, March 4th, 2024, on a Monday night in Rockford, Illinois. Todd Delaney will be hosting it. It is going to be great. It will be at the Coronado Performing Arts Center, 314 North Main Street, starting at 7 p.m. for the main show, and the pre-show is at 5:30. We're gonna hit that pre-show this year, so it's gonna be really, really good with so many beautiful gospel singers that's gonna be there.
And what I'm excited about, because that Tuesday, March the 5th, we will be doing our radio show at the Soar Radio Studio. First time ever we're going to be doing it there. And I've been talking about this for like 2, maybe 3 years, and I finally said, babe, we need to do this. Just stay there an extra day. Go see, Rockford. And it's funny because I saw something about Rockford on Today where the man was talking about, they always talk about the 10 worst places to go to, and Rockford was like one of the worst places to go to. Let me tell you something.
Not that night.
Soar Radio is putting Rockford on the map, baby. They ain't saying nothing about that, but Soar Radio is putting Rockford on the map. Now, of course, every black metropolitan area to most other people is a worse place to go to. Although they may come there and get their drugs, and I did say that. But it's always the worst place to go to. I mean, Chicago, the west side of Chicago is the worst place to go to. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's worse because that's all you talk about. But
you want to talk about that in these few minutes?
You got to do that. Talk about what we got. 4 minutes. What you got?
Okay. Well, if you're visiting Chicago, let me move that from there. Here are the places they say do not.
Like we can't see that paper.
Washington Park, balancing risk and rewards. Do not go on Chicago South Side to Washington Park. West Garfield Park is in a neighborhood in transition. They trying to do good, but they still got problems. Inglewood, Cultural Riches is up in Inglewood, but if you could make it there and get out alive, good luck.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
East Garfield is getting better because of the Obama Museum over there. That's what they probably saying that for.
Then you got North Lawndale and East Garfield Park, balancing potential and peril. Okay, we did the what was that? Black Wall Street over there, right? It was in the Lawndale area. Then you got Austin. They're trying to do good, but they have a lot of car thefts up there, a lot of robberies. Grand Crossing and Riverdale. Artistic resilience and environmental challenges going over there. Grand Crossing, I think Pastor Hannah is over there. He's trying to, uplift the area and do stuff, but it's still not doing good over there. And then another one, which really gonna shock you,
the mic is there,
is Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan now. Lake Michigan is one that having problems with because of the current tides down there. Not so much of the robbing, but people want to bring their families down and get as close as the water as possible. And they said the currents are so strong, even on good days, that it's a lot of drownings.
And in the Chicagoland area, like I said, any kind of black metropolitan area, they want to say something is bad. Now they bring in Lake Michigan, not because of the people. Now the other areas are because of the people. But Lake Michigan is a dangerous area because of the water currents of people trying to swim in the water late and not understanding the currents. That's the worst thing. Now there's no bad areas that are white in the Chicagoland area. None. Okay, this is what they're telling you. None. But we got to get off of this air. We'll talk about that another day. Hey, I hope you all enjoyed the show. We talked with Bernadette Anderson about 8 signs of a depression of a black woman, and we hope you all enjoyed that and everything we talked about. Kenny's going to have about 30 seconds to play some music, and we're going to get out of here. This is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo. See you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Okay. Yes. So, Facebook, YouTube, again, hope you all enjoyed the show. Make sure you get your tickets. Kenny is going to tell me that the tickets are running out. Justin been saying it a lot. Tickets are running out. If you like gospel music, like I like gospel music, you know, like my boy Marvin Sapp, never would have made it without you. He's gonna be on it, so you know he's gonna be singing too. You need to be there. March 4th, Rockford, Coronado Theater. It's gonna be on and popping. I don't never say that, so it's gonna be on and popping. If you like gospel music, get your butt out of Chicago, Chicagoland area. I don't care if you in Wisconsin, you know, borderline Michigan, wherever you are that's close around. This is the place to be. Now we got a friend that comes from France. That's how much they like to hear gospel music. Get your behind out of there on Monday on March the 5th and go hear this music from these gospel greats that come there to Rockford because, you know, Justin has got this thing going, and that's why we're so blessed to be on this radio show because it's a radio show that you want to be a part of. So if you're thinking about having a radio show, you ought to go to soar@soarradio.com to get your radio going on, and you can be on the radio probably on the same Tuesday that Let's Stay Together talk show. It's going to have to be after 9 or before 7, but you got a chance to be here. You ain't taking our spot. So check it out. We'll see you on next Tuesday at 7 p.m. See you later.